Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the TensorFlow Lite tutorial series that I'm creating. In this current video, I'll show you how you can first create a TensorFlow/Keras model and then convert that to a TensorFlow Lite model. Next, I'll compare both the models head to head with respect to the overall size as well as the testing accuracy. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. But hold on, before we do that, it would be really motivating if you can press the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to be notified for amazing videos on data science and machine learning. Now, let's jump directly into the video. Let's kickstart the activity of converting a TensorFlow model into a TF-Lite model by importing the necessary modules. So let me run this cell. The TensorFlow version that I'm using is 2.3.0. If you're using the 1 series, then the code that I've written might not be relevant. So it's better to upgrade to TensorFlow 2 series and use a script that I've created for this entire activity. I've created two helper functions called as get_file_size and convert_bytes, which basically help me return the overall model size both for TensorFlow as well as the TF-Lite model. So let me run these cells and import these functions in memory. For this activity of generating a TensorFlow model and then converting that into a TF-Lite model, I'll be making use of the famous FashionMNIST dataset. The dataset contains 70,000 grayscale images which are divided into 10 categories. In order to use this dataset, what I do is I call the function keras.datasets.fashion_mnist and save it into a variable called as fashion_mnist. Once I have the variable handy, the next thing that I do is I call the function load_data and separate my dataset into training images along with training labels and testing images along with testing labels. So let me run this cell. Next up, I define a variable called as class_names, which is nothing else but a list which contains 10 values. These 10 values correspond to the 10 classes of my dataset. So let me run this cell as well. Let's go forward and explore the training dataset. So let me run the first cell to see the overall shape of the training dataset. As you can clearly see, there are 60,000 images in my training dataset. Every image is of the size 28 x 28. If I try to find out the total length of the train_labels, then this would also amount to 60,000. So for every image in my training dataset, there is a corresponding label associated with it. If now I have to find out the total unique labels, then I call the function np.unique to find out the total classes that exist in my training dataset. So as you can clearly see, there are classes ranging from 0 to 9. Let's go forward and explore the testing dataset. The shape of the testing dataset is 10,000, 28, 28. That simply means there are 10,000 images for testing. Every image is of the shape 28 x 28. Correspondingly, for 10,000 images, I'll have 10,000 labels associated with it. Before we start the pre-processing activity, it is a good practice to look at one sample image. So let me run this cell to visualize one of the sample training images. The dimensions of this image is 28 x 28. The image intensity values range from 0 to 255. Now, if we have to build a network that has to converge quickly, we'll have to bring all the image intensity values to one scale. So good scale would be to have values between 0 to 1. That is what I've done in this piece of code. I've brought down the intensity value of every pixel from 0 to 255 to 0 to 1. So let me run this cell. Our dataset is up and running. It is now time to create a deep learning model. The first thing that I do is I create an instance of the sequential class and save it into a variable called as model. Inside the sequential class that I've just defined, I create an instance of the class flatten. That is, the input images that I get would be a grid structure that is 28 cross 28. I want to flatten it out into a one-dimensional array, and this is only possible using the flatten function. Next up, I add two dense layers, one with 128 output units and the other with 10 output units. In the first dense layer, I add an activation of ReLU, which is rectified linear unit, and I run the cell. Now that our model structure is up and running, the next thing that I do is I define the optimizer, which in our case is the Adam optimizer. I define the loss function, which is sparse categorical cross entropy loss. And I also define the metric that I want to compile my model for, which in our case is accuracy. So let me run the cell. Given all the background work is now complete, I'll now fit in my training images along with training labels to generate the weight values for the corresponding model. So let me run this cell. I'll run this activity for 10 epochs. We have trained the model for 10 epochs and I can see an accuracy of around 91%, which is a very decent value in terms of what I wanted to achieve in this exercise. Let's now go forward and save this model into a simple H5 file called as tf_model_fashion_mnist.h5. I am saving this into a variable called as keras_model_name. So let me run this cell. Let me go forward and save the model content into this file name. Now is the time to check the overall size of this model. So for this, I'll make use of the initial two helper functions that I created. So I'll call convert_bytes and I'll call the get_file size, and I want the overall output to be displayed in megabytes. So let me run the cell. So as you can clearly see, this entire model occupies 1.2 MB. Now you might wonder, 1.2 MB is a small file size, but given the network that we created, it was a fairly simple network, and for this simple network, it is occupying around 1.2 MB, which is slightly bigger. When you start increasing the number of layers, the overall file size will keep increasing. So that is something that we want to avoid if we want to make inferences in the edge devices. So that is where TF-Lite would come into picture. Before we jump on to create a TF-Lite model from a TensorFlow model, the one thing that I'll do is I'll check how well my model is performing on the testing dataset. So let me run this cell. As you can clearly see, we've been able to reach an accuracy of 88.78% on the testing dataset. Now is the time that we'll convert our TensorFlow model into a TF-Lite model. So let me unhide this cell. The first thing that I'll do is I'll define a file name called as tf_lite_model.tflite, and I'll save this into a variable called as tf_lite_model_file_name. So let me run the cell. In order to convert a TensorFlow model to a TF-Lite model, the first step is to define a converter and then call the convert function. So let me run this cell. Now that the model conversion is complete, the next thing that I'll do is I'll save this model in the file name that I just created. So let me run the cell. The only thing that is remaining right now is to evaluate the size of my TensorFlow Lite model. So let me run this cell. So as you can clearly see, the TF-Lite model that was generated is around 400 kilobytes as compared to 1.2 MB, which is the normal base TensorFlow model that is created. The only task that is remaining in this video is to evaluate the performance in terms of accuracy. So that is what I'll do in the remaining two sections. Let me go forward and unhide the cell. In order to evaluate the TF-Lite model, I'll have to first set up something called as an interpreter. The interpreter will give me the details with respect to the input values as well as the output values. So let me run this piece of code. So as you can clearly see, the TF-Lite model expects the input in this particular shape, that is 1, 28, 28, and the output is basically 1 row and 10 columns. The input values should be of the type numpy float 32 and output variable would be of the type numpy float 32. Now if you look closely, the input shape is 1, 28, 28. If I have to evaluate on the entire testing data, I'll have to modify the input shape to something else. So that is what I'll carry out in the next section. The interpreter object that we created, we want to resize it so that we can validate it on the entire testing dataset. Given our testing dataset size was 10,000, that is what I have entered here. I call the allocate tensors command and I also print out all the details that exist for both input and output. So let me run the cell. So as you can clearly see, the previous input shape was 12828, which is now changed to 10,02828. There's also a small modification that is required, which I am coming to right now. Every value inside my test underscore images is of the type float64. If you look at this input type, it is numpy float 32. So essentially I have to convert the D type, that is the individual variable type, from float64, which is the base Python representation, to numpy float 32. This is something that I do in this piece of code. There are other ways of doing it as well, but I've chosen this process of creating an array, passing in the test underscore images array and changing the D type here. So let me run this cell. Now is the time to set the tensor to this array that I created and get the predictions. So let me run the cell. So my prediction underscore classes variable will have all the prediction values from the testing data set. So the only thing that is remaining now is to validate how good our model is performing with respect to accuracy. So I'll call the function accuracy underscore score from the sklearns package and pass in the prediction classes as well as test labels. So let's look at what the final testing accuracy is. So as you can clearly see, the accuracy that is generated from a TF-Lite model is almost equal to the base TensorFlow/Keras model that was there. So this way you can create models wherein there is very little effect in terms of the accuracy and you can compress the size of the overall model as well. So from 1.2 MB we came down to 400 KBs. If we want to compress the model even further, then there are some quantization techniques which I'll mention in the third part of the TensorFlow Lite series. So I hope you found this video informative. If you do like the content that I post on my channel, it would be really motivating if you can press the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to be notified for future amazing videos on data science and machine learning. Thank you so much for watching the video.